Welcome to day one of the Passions, Profits, and Possibilities Telesummit. I'm your host, Linda Beach, and for the next 12 days, I'm going to take you on a journey to help you increase your profits doing the things you truly love. I'm going to introduce you to 24 of my favorite mentors, and they're going to share their top tips for creating a freedom-filled life. Now, what is a freedom-filled life? What does that even mean? I know some of you are here out of a sense of discontent. Typically, when you start creating a new dream, you do so out of a place of discontent or a place of longing. Now, if you're coming here from a place of discontent, it's because you don't like your job, or maybe you don't make enough money, or don't have enough time, or maybe all three. And some of you are here out of a place of longing, like there's this burning desire to do something more than you're already doing. Now for me, it's definitely a sense of longing. I actually love my career. I've been doing the same thing for 23 years, training people for the spa industry, and it's really, it's been heartwarming. I love it. However, there's this burning desire to travel that's been building up inside of me. It's gotten louder and louder over the years. I've been on some great trips. I've been to Bali, I've been to Greece, but I realized one day that I needed to do a lot more of it. And the only way I was going to do that was to learn ways in which I could take my career on the road. Some people call it a laptop lifestyle. If you follow Kimra Luna, she calls it freedom hacker. I love that term. Whatever you want to call it, it's basically a freedom-based lifestyle. Now, I'm not telling you to give up your career and hit the road. That might not work for you. So a year and a half ago, I started really thinking seriously about traveling full-time. The first thing I did was enroll in a course on how to create profitable retreats. I've held a retreat and I really think it's a great idea, and I wanted to take people to Italy and to France and back to Bali and host a retreat. So I took this course and I learned a lot, but what happened during that time was things started popping up in my Facebook news feed, like invitations to telesummits and giveaways and webinars and courses and on and on and on. And in the beginning, I went nuts. I took every course that came my way. I watched every webinar. After about a month, my inbox was jammed with about 2,000 emails. It stressed me out. I did not know what to do. And at that point, I stopped and I stepped back and I took a good long look at what my dream life was about. Like, what is it that I really wanted? Every single solitary detail I planned out. And then I went back and I looked at all these shiny objects I had been chasing, and I said to myself, does this serve my dream? And if the answer was no, I deleted it. Well, that took quite a while. And in fact, I spent a lot of time and a lot of money chasing shiny objects. So it occurred to me that I could be of service to those of you in the industry, coaches, massage therapists, that hadn't really started this journey yet, that didn't really know what this whole online thing was about. So I decided to put together a telesummit to help you save yourself a lot of time and money, because it's easy to go out and chase shiny objects and to take courses that you don't need. But throughout all of this, the one thing I want to stress is that I don't want you to get started on this journey unless you have crafted your perfect dream life. And I mean every single detail. Now, some of you are saying, I already know what my dream life is, or I'm living my dream life, and that's phenomenal. Although you can probably polish it up and create a little bit more detail. But for those of you who haven't done that yet, that's where we're going to start. We are going to start with the dream building process. So I have a few handouts on today's email that I want you to download. I want you to go ahead and start creating a definition, designing your dream life in all of the details. So I've given you a couple of tools to do that. And now once you've written it out and really thought about it, I want you to do something fun. And you might have done this before in your life. It's called a treasure map to some people call it a vision board, because I'm all about passion. I call mine a passion poster. I'll give you an example. Here's one that I made a few months ago. Can you see it? This one's all about travel, as you can see. All of the places that I want to go in the next few years. And in fact, when you're designing your dream life, I want you to think 3 years in the future. Okay, not 1 year. That's kind of stressful because a lot of people think, I can't possibly get that done in 1 year. And don't put it 10 years out because it's too far away. You need to have 3 years. 3 years is a great number. So when you're designing your dream life, put yourself 3 years out and say to yourself, in 3 years, if time or money were absolutely not a consideration, what would my life look like? Where would I live? What kind of home would I have? What kind of friends would be in my life? What would I be doing for romance or for social activities? Like every single solitary facet of it. Design it down to the T, because that's where we're going to start. Now, there's a checklist to make sure that that dream is worthy of you that we're going to get to later in the summit. But for right now, I just want you to work on creating this dream life vision. Now, there's a few other things I want to talk to you about, but because I'm all about travel, I thought, why sit in my living room and lecture to you for an hour? Instead, I want to introduce you to my island. I live on an island. It's called Defusky Island. It sits between Savannah, Georgia and Hilton Head, South Carolina. It's a couple miles off the coast of Hilton Head, and there's no bridge. The only way you can get to this island is by boat. It's about 9 square miles, maybe 500 residents. Some are part-time, some full-time, but it's magical. And I want to show you around. So since I'm all about travel, why sit in my living room? I want to take you on a field trip. So we're going to do the rest of this video outside. All right, let's hit the road. Welcome to Hague Point. The beautiful building that sits behind me is called the Strawn Mansion. The residents here simply refer to it as the mansion. This building was built in 1910 in Brunswick, Georgia, and a family used it as a vacation home and called it Beach Lawn. However, in 1986, it faced demolition. So they offered it to anyone who could move it, and the owners of Hague Point purchased the property, and then they had to figure out how to get it here. So what they did was they took 2 barges and they lashed them together, and they carefully put this wonderful building on top of the barges and tied it down tight. And then for the next 3 days, they carefully moved it up the intercoastal waterway, and they had to be careful of tides and trees and bridges and such. But after 3 days, this 7,500 square foot building completed its journey, and it was placed on this location. The only thing that was broken was a window. So I want you to think about this story as you're crafting your dream, because when you decide for your dream and what it's going to look like, you're going to want to make sure you have a solid foundation. That could mean a lot of things. Right now it could mean the knowledge that you're building. It could be the people that mentor you, and you're going to want to hold on tight. You're going to have a plan, and you're going to start moving in the direction of your dream. Now, one of the things I want you to consider about your dream is, who does it serve? This wonderful welcome center serves the residents of Hague Point. It has a restaurant and a bar inside. It has a game room and a library. There's a pool table. Our mailboxes are inside. It even has a little general store, because guys, there's no stores on Hague Point. In fact, there's no stores in all of Defusky Island. So if you run out of bread and milk, you can come to the mansion. Upstairs, there's 3 guest rooms for people that are touring the island or considering purchasing real estate. So it serves its purpose. So think about your dream, and who is it going to serve besides yourself? You want it to serve others. So think about that. We're going to take our dream, we're going to lash it down, we're going to move slowly in the direction we want to go. We're going to repair any broken windows along the way, and ultimately we're going to have something beautiful to show for it. I wanted to stop and show you this magnificent oak tree. The neighbors call it Angel Oak. Now, I'm not sure how it got its name. Maybe because the branches look like angel wings, but it's hundreds of years old. Now, we all know that an acorn is going to grow into an oak tree. But when we're crafting our dream, it might seem a little scary. We're not sure how we're going to get there. And that's okay. I want you to imagine your big, beautiful dream life 3 years from now. And all you need to worry about is the first few steps. The rest of it, you're going to put in the hands of a higher power, whatever that means to you. And you're just going to trust that it's all going to work out perfectly. So I wanted to stop in front of our beach club and tell you a little personal story about myself. Now, during the summit, we're going to talk about paradigms, and paradigms are values that we form usually early in our lifetime, and negative paradigms can truly get in the way of our success. And when I had the opportunity to look at moving to Hague Point, some of my negative paradigms started rearing their ugly head. And one in particular almost caused me to not move here. And that had to do with my sense of deserving. My entire life, I had convinced myself that I didn't fit in, that I would never, I could never belong to a country club community, that I could never learn to play tennis, that people wouldn't like me, that they wouldn't invite me to any social gatherings, and that started coming up for me when I had the opportunity to move to Hague Point. So when I took a long, hard look at that and realized that it was my sense of deserving that was in question, I had to increase my feelings of deserving. And I worked real hard on that. And the minute I decided for myself that I actually do deserve to live here, and even though I was afraid of what it would be like, I did it anyway. And I have to report to you that while I am still terrible at tennis, the neighbors have been lovely. I've been to many social events. I fit in just fine. If I had let that fear and that sense of not deserving stand in my way, I would never have had the wonderful opportunity that I have had living in Hague Point. So pay really close attention on the summit when we start talking about paradigms, because you need to tackle the negative paradigms before you start this journey, because they will get in your way of success. All right? So I'm standing in front of the Hague Point Lighthouse. This beautiful lighthouse was built in the late 1800s, right on top of the foundation of one of the largest tabby homes ever built. Now, it served for many years as a beacon for sailors that were passing by the island in the night or during a storm. Right across the Calibogue Sound, however, there's an iconic lighthouse with red and white stripes that resides in Sea Pines Resort on Hilton Head Island. What most of the tourists that flock there don't know is that lighthouse never served as an actual working lighthouse. I call it the imposter lighthouse. Now, I'm telling you this because when you start getting involved in online activities, you're going to see a lot of people that claim to make tens of thousands, even millions of dollars online. Now, some of them have actually done that, and some of them haven't. So it's important that you take the time to investigate every single one of them. I want you to find some mentors for this journey. I want you to find people that have gone before you and done the things that you want to do. But make sure that they align with your core values. Make sure that what they are saying is actually true. So you want to find one or more mentors that can be your beacon during the storm, any dark nights that you have, so that you can finish your journey and be a success. Okay, I hope the lighting is okay, but I just had to show you something. I was only going to make this video in my community of Hague Point, but I decided to go to yoga today. And I brought my camera along because I have to tell you a funny story about this sign. So Melrose on the Beach started in 1986, and it was a bustling tourist resort. Think
Dirty Dancing, but instead of the mountains of North Carolina, this is set on the beaches of South Carolina. It was crazy busy. They built this beautiful hotel behind me, and they have cottages down the way. And in 2008, the place went under. The golf course fell in ruins, and the hotel sat empty until a new company came along and purchased it. Now, they have since revised the golf course. It's beautiful. They've opened a wonderful restaurant. They have a beautiful swimming pool. But this hotel, it sits empty. Well, actually, it's not empty because the beds are still made inside, and there's a grand piano in the Great Hall. And don't ask me how I know that, because I have never trespassed inside this property, I swear. Anyway. Back to the sign. So the year after they purchased this property, they put up a sign and they said, coming in 2010, meaning they're going to build the hotel or rebuild it. And then the following year, when nothing happened, they changed the sign and it said, coming in 2011. And then it said 2012 and 2013. You get the idea. But in 2014, because it kind of became a joke on the island that obviously they weren't rebuilding the hotel, they put up this sign. Rome wasn't built in a day. Good things are coming. I love it. And while they have saved a lot of money on signs, they have no plans at this point to rebuild this hotel. So I'm telling you this story because I want to make sure that when you start working on this new phase, this new dream, that you do not stop, that you do not let it sit in ruins, that you don't put a sign up on your website that it's under construction. I mean, you can do that for a short while, but I want you to every single day take one step, even if it's a little baby step, one step in the direction of your dreams. And before you know it, you'll have built something beautiful. Okay, let's head back over to Hague Point. It's freezing. So I wanted to end today's tour on one of our beautiful beaches. In the background, you can see Hilton Head Island and that imposter lighthouse that I talked about. But back to the beach. This particular beach is covered in millions of oyster shells. Now, as you know, an oyster produces a pearl, but they're very rare. They produce the pearl when they get a piece of sand inside, and it creates an irritant, and the oyster starts building a protective shell around the sand. And what it eventually produces is a beautiful pearl. Now, what does this matter to you? Well, when you start working on creating something in the online community, you're going to come up against millions of oysters. But you're going to need to stand out. You're going to need to be the pearl. And one way to do that is to use your story, use your past, and create something beautiful. Make sure that whatever you're creating, it's unique to you. Make sure that it's beautiful. Make it your gift to others, and you will be successful. I promise you. All right, we're gonna head back inside. Thanks for putting up with my messy hair and my bundles of clothing. It's actually warmed up a little bit, but we're gonna finish this conversation in my living room. Hi, and welcome back to my living room. I hope you enjoyed your little tour of Defusky Island, South Carolina. So why am I sitting on my sofa covered in coats? Because I am making an official declaration that this is the last winter I'm going to live anywhere that I have to wear a winter coat. From here on out, it's flip-flops all the way. I have decided to pursue a lifelong dream of living in the Caribbean. I have officially sold my business. I'm in the process of selling everything I own, and I'm going to be moving somewhere warm. Now, I'm not quite sure where that is yet. I'm thinking Belize, but I will let you know. So let's stay in touch. Now, if you haven't been over to the Facebook group yet, head on over and introduce yourself. There's people from all over the world in that group. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us what you are creating. And if you haven't checked out the VIP Possibilities Pack Permanent Access Pass, that's a mouthful, make sure you check that out as well.
That is permanent access to all of our interviews. And in addition to that, there's hundreds of dollars in bonus gifts for you. Now, I discounted the price through today, but I'm making an extension. You can get the discounted price up through the end of January, so make sure to check that out. Okay, that's it for day one. Make sure to check your inbox tomorrow morning for our first interviews. All right, thanks for being here. I'll see you on the summit. Bye for now.